Oh yeah, sorry. Consolidation Video 2, Lexical Borrowing and Lexical Loaning by José Alejandro García Romero, Amanda Ivanova Hinojosa, and Luis Octavio Lemus Gutiérrez.
Background. This is a group of teenagers around 50 years old. They all have medium basic level B1, and they can carry a basic conversation, reading relatively fluid and understandable class in English. The material we are going to see is a sheet of paper with a list of words that in Spanish and English have a borrowing law and context, so they can identify if those words are borrowed or loan words. Also, in a text, Spanglish, dialect version of Spanish and the north of Mexico, where they are going to identify loan borrowed words and define the English where they come from. Lexical borrowing and loaning. Lexical borrowing is the introduction of a single word in a language. The difference with the switching is that borrowing introduces the word with a translated version and a different grammar instruction for it to fit into a new language. Example, cachar equals atrapar. Hey, tiene balón, cáchalo, atrápalo. Lexical loan is the introduction of a word into a language, but the difference is totally integrated into the language. Example, music equals música. My favorite type of music is pop music.
As an activity, after an explanation, students will receive a sheet of paper with a list of words. Students will identify which of those words are loaned or borrowed. It will be useful for students to identify which of those words are used as a normal part of the vocabulary. And our words are music, música, courting, cortina, poets, poeta, park, parquear, catch, cachar, sandal, sandalia, soldier, soldado, and hot dog, ocho. As you can see in this list, students will identify that loan words are fully integrated into the English language. Meanwhile, borrowed words have their own version in Spanish. So in pink, music, música, curtain, cortina, poet, poeta, sandal, sandalia, soldier, soldado, those are loan words because they are fully integrated into the language. In blue, parking, parquear, catch, cachar, hot dog, ocho, those are borrowed words because we have another version of that word, parquear, estacionar, cachar, atrapar, and ocho, perrito caliente. Our second activity is a text. In this case, we are going to present a text that have a lot of high frequency words that are used for people who speak Spanglish. This version of Spanish that is a lot of borrowed words in English. So I'm going to read the text. Cuando visité Juárez, mi prima me recibió con un gran abrazo. Ella me pidió que parqueara la troca frente a su garage. La verdad me choqué porque afuera estaba helado y se iba a frizar mi motor. Dentro de la casa, mi tía había preparado una gran comida para recibirme. El piso recién mapeado, que daba pena pisarlo, y shineaba con la luz del foco. Cenamos con un café calientito y veíamos la yarda y sus plantas cuando de pronto empezó a nevar. ¡Wow! No había caído nieve en lo que va del invierno, dijo mi prima. Así que me terminé mi lunch, chequé mi celular para tomar fotos y corrimos para ver la nieve caer. Esa misma tarde fui con mi prima al mall para poder comprar un suéter grande. Shopping entre primas es un must do. Qué linda visita en Juárez. As you can notice, students are going to identify those words in the text so they can notice that we can integrate words in another language into Spanish. Those words are borrowed words. Example, parqueara against estacionar, troca against camioneta, frizar against congelar, mall against supermercado, cheque against revisar. This is going to be useful for students so they can learn more verbs in English that we use normally in Spanish are borrowed words. And this is going to be interesting for them because it's kind of entertaining.
Okay, in conclusion, by definition, sociolinguistics is the study of how language, society, and culture are interrelated. This is manifested through the examples of lexical borrowing and loaning as shown earlier. When two languages and cultures interact so closely with one another, they're bound to borrow and loan parts of their vocabulary over the course of time. If you recall from the text read earlier, there are words that have been borrowed from the English language and they are actually conjugated according to the grammatical rules and structures of the Spanish language. In second language acquisition teaching, lexical borrowing can be used as a learning strategy for students to learn high-frequency vocabulary that comes from one language and can be adopted into another. Lexical borrowing can also help students memorize vocabulary words by knowing and help them to know when to use certain words in different contexts. That's going to be all for lexical borrowing and loaning, and thank you for your time.